of Asia. You see up there in the corner, it says Asia. And if you notice Russia is there, Europe is there, you got China on the bottom there. But as you can see, the European isles and the European countries are under Asia. Under Asia. Now, that could be a conflict because we see Europeans in these areas. We see Europeans in those areas, but we see Chinese people and Japanese people all down in the other areas. But yet the landmass is connected. Can you see that clearly? We're going to show you that beyond any shadow of a doubt that the original Europeans, or the people that inhabited those isles, were and are Asians. There was one time that Europeans was not in this area. And people get this distorted when they use the word Ashkenazi Jews, because you have German or Russian Jewish people who came from Europe. They get it confused because these people were living in Europe. You might think they're Europeans. But here's a perfect example. If it was 1,000 years from now, you would think that America was the original Americans. If it was 1,000 years from now. Don't forget, when they established their country in America, they set up a founding father. They set up a constitution. They set up a new world. So if 1,000 years was to pass, they wouldn't teach you about the North American Indians. They would teach you about Christopher Columbus. They would teach you about George Washington, Ben Franklin. You would think that they were the original Americans. That's the same thing they did to the Chinese. Same thing they did to the Japanese and the Asians, or the Japhetic people who were originally in Russia, in Europe, in France, in Rome, in different areas. And we're going to prove that. We'll prove that beyond any shadow of a doubt. The Bible breaks down everything. Okay? You're going to find out that before Alexander the Greek, his father Philip was also conquering and fighting the Asians, moving them in the areas you see today. So the conquering didn't just start with Alexander the Greek. We go into Alexander the Greek because of the Bible prophecy of them taking down Persia. But before they had the strength to take down Persia, they had to take down the other lands within their region first. So we're going to show you how the Europeans inhabited Greece. We're going to show you how they inhabited Rome. We will show you how they inhabited Europe. Okay? But first, let's identify the Japhetic people. Let's go to Genesis 10. Let's go to Genesis 10. Now, this is some detailed, groundbreaking history here. So make sure you have your pen, papers, you write the scriptures, and then research it yourself. I need you to start, please, at the first verse.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. And these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
These are the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, Shem is who we all know today. They come from Abraham's seed. You got the Middle Easterns, like for instance, the Ishmaelites. from Ishmael, which are in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and those areas. They're the sons of Ishmael. You got Jacob. You have Jacob, which is like the so-called Negroes that fled into Africa in 70 A.D., the North American Indians, the Israelites. They're from the seed of Shem. Then you have Ham. Do you have a Bible dictionary? Let's grab a Bible dictionary real quick. Okay, grab that for me. I'll finish. Then you have Ham. Ham is the father of the dark races. Okay, now that's where you might get it confused, because you see black people who came over to America from Africa. But they didn't start in Africa. They ran into Africa in 70 A.D. So just because you're dark doesn't mean you're from Africa. A matter of fact, I see dark-skinned Middle Easterns that look just as dark as Africans. Okay? Just as dark as Africans. All right? So we know that Noah, the progenitor of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, these are the people that lived through the flood. So the whole earth was inhabited through Noah and his 3 sons. So we know that Shem is the seeds of Abraham. Today, you have people like the Middle Easterns, you have the Israelites, and you have those families. You have Lot's families, which is Moab and Ammon. These all came out of Shem. Like your Palestinians, your Jordanians, people from Syria. These are all seeds of what you will call Shem. Then you have Ham. Get Ham out of the Bible dictionary.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
He was one of 8 persons to live through the flood. Read.
He became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the father of the dark races. But what?
Not the Negroes.
Not the what?
Not the Negroes.
So even Zondervan, which is also of European persuasion, understands that the Negroes are not part of the 4 families of Ham. But yet they refuse to teach this in Christian theology. They'll tell you that the black people in America are from the seed of the cursed son Canaan of Ham. That he was cursed. They put that on our people. Cursed to be a servant of servants. No. The Canaanites are the modern day South Africans. The people that came over in cargo slave ships did not come from South Africa. They came from West Africa. West Africa, where the Lord had a space prepared for his people that fled from the Romans, from Israel, over the Atlas Mountains into Africa for a time until they were sold into cargo slave ships. Ham is the father of the dark races, but not who?
Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes. The Negroes are not part of Ham. Okay? And because of that, when we went into Africa, there was a lot of tribal wars going on, because it was our people fighting against the Hamitic races who are already in those regions. The tribal wars wasn't the same families. It was one dark race fighting against another dark race. Like in Egypt, it was one dark race, the Egyptians, fighting against another dark race, the Israelites. Read on.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes, but who?
But the Egyptians.
The Egyptians, Africans. Now that proves the Egyptians was dark, because it says here, Ham became the father of the dark races. The Egyptians were originally, and they are, dark. I'm talking about before the Ishmaelites and the Arabs started migrating into the area of Egypt, and the Greeks under Ptolemy started coming over here, migrating and bringing people over into Egypt. Before that, You had Nubians, which were dark-skinned Africans. Okay? And they wanted to hide this fact. They wanted to hide that. They started trying